I'm Spencer Mazyck, and joining me now is lawyer turned yoga instructor Kelly Newsome. She is the owner of Higher Ground Yoga, a yoga-based wellness practice for busy women in Washington, D.C. Welcome, Kelly. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here.
So, Kelly, first question, how did you go from being an attorney to yoga instructor? That doesn't seem like a natural progression to me.
No, it was not a natural progression at all. It was a very organic, relatively unplanned thing, I think. And it was kind of a series of events. The first story that really marks the start of it is I remember working on a deal. I was a corporate attorney, and I was working on a deal, very tired, came home one night, and it was really one morning. Took a shower, washed my face, everything, put my makeup back on, put my clothes back on, did my hair, and laid down on the bed very still because I knew that I would be too tired to do it the next day. And at that point I thought, probably not normal.
Well,
probably not okay.
Well, so were you searching, though, for a certain zen, a certain peace or balance that you thought was missing from your life? What was the specific catalyst for change here?
Yeah, well, I think that the first thing was really recognizing the mindfulness of knowing that that was not an okay place to be, like to be that exhausted and to be doing those kinds of things that are just not, not so normal. And so I eventually hit kind of a low point and thought, I've really got to make some changes here. And so I did. So I started incorporating really small changes, little wellness strategies into my daily regimen. I noticed a magnificent difference in probably a few weeks, and I kept doing it for about a year. During that space, I kind of cleared the fog, I think. Did a couple of yoga trainings, ended up leaving private practice, going to public interest work. Even though I worked for a great firm, I went to a wonderful NGO, traveled for a year, and then when I came back, the jobs were so kind of dismal. It was the end of 2009, and I just didn't see anything that I really liked. And I remember sitting at my parents' kitchen table and thinking, maybe I should just start a business. Like, that might be easier than looking for a job and doing a job that I really don't like.
Well, and
so I did, and that was the birth.
How long had you practiced law up until that point?
That was about my 5th year when I transitioned into public interest work, and then about 5.5 years after I started my law practice, I traveled.
Well, and so did you, from a financial perspective, though, did you think it was difficult to leave the practice?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was, I remember thinking, how will I ever survive? Like, I really thought it would be impossible. But one of the really important things that I did, about 3 or 4 years into practice, I knew that I wasn't going to do private work the rest of my life. That was pretty clear. And so I started living well below my means, I think, and saving as much money as I could. I automatically had it transferred to another account because I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew that I would do something. Well, and I just wanted to have a little bit to play around with.
And if you don't mind, for other folks who might be similarly situated, can you tell me roughly about how much did you save?
I think I probably saved about $50,000.
Okay, that's a nice chunk of change there.
But I also did that because I wanted to travel for a year. I knew I didn't want to work for about 12 months, so I wanted to make sure that that would be, that I would have a reasonable amount to travel and do some really cool things. And then the cushion for starting my business was really nice, but my business started making money pretty soon. I mean, within the first 6 months, I had a full client slot, and it's been full ever since.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more about Higher Ground Yoga and the services that you offer there?
Oh, yes. I have the best job on the planet. I get to work with really busy professional women who are overworked and overscheduled and overwhelmed, and I get to help them thrive on a day-to-day basis. So I do that by a 4-part wellness framework that I created over the last couple of years, and it looks at these different areas of well-being, and from that framework, that structures every single session, we take yoga and wellness strategies, and they incorporate them not only in session, but actually out of session too. So I'm essentially like a partner in health for all of my clients. It's very intensive, one-on-one work. They get a lot of my time and energy and love, and I get a lot of time and energy and love back from them.
Why was it important for you to focus exclusively on women?
That's a really good question. I think it was important because I knew that experience. It was my experience. And I don't work exclusively with women lawyers, but they make up a big part of my market because I was a woman lawyer. And I think that there are just things that you experience as a woman in the legal profession, especially if you have a family. And I knew the experience that a lot of my clients had had. And so it was important for me from a relatability perspective. I think that they can relate. I can relate to them, and they can relate to my experience. So from a marketing perspective and practical perspective, it was great because it really targeted my market. My own experience did.
Well, and so you graduated from college with a BS in psychology and human development. You also had a concentration there on parent-child attachment. So why did you go to law school, Kelly?
It was kind of a detour, wasn't it? I mean, I'd been studying kids for such a long time. I really had been studying child development and birth since I was like 10 years old. I became kind of obsessed with it as a kid. I think that the reason I went to law school was mostly financial. And I think a lot of people go for that reason. I learned very early on that it was really important as a woman to be able to support yourself. And I had very strong role models around me, and a couple of them were women attorneys. And I started hanging out at their law firms and reading cases, and I thought it was really interesting to try to predict behavior. And I liked business. I thought that business deals were kind of fun and interesting, again, predicting behavior, negotiating deals, working with different personalities. And it just seemed like a good fit. I thought it could give me a great lifestyle, and then I'd be able to contribute to people's lives doing these deals. Of course, what I found out is that I wanted to contribute in a very different way later on. But I'm one of the few lawyers who, I'm really glad that I went. I had great experiences, not only in law school, but also when I was practicing. It just wasn't, it didn't give me enough juice. I didn't wake up like loving to go to work every day. And when I reached that point, the whole like sleeping with my makeup on thing, I just felt like it was not only a disservice to myself, but it was a disservice to my clients.
Well, and so, I mean, are you more financially stable now, I think, because you said you went to law school for financial reasons, and it was hard to leave the practice because of the financial security there, but are you a little bit more financially comfortable now with your own business?
Yes, I am. I mean, it's not as financially comfortable as being a private practice attorney.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
There's still a fairly significant gap there, I think, in terms of income, but it's fine. I mean, my quality of life is outstanding, and I know that sounds a little bit cliche, but it is so true now that I'm living it. I do just fine. The bills are always paid. My taxes are always paid. I still buy nice shoes. I figure out how to do those things, but you don't. But the difference is before, if somebody needed a computer, it's like, okay, I can do that. Or if I really wanted to go to Thailand, I could just do that. Now it takes a little more planning. But the day-to-day quality of life is magnificent. It's so much better.
Well, and sometimes I think that we can live off of less if we decide that we really want to. We don't need as much.
That's absolutely true.
Well, you also have said that your law firm education was what has helped you the most in your post-law career.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
That's right. I really liked the firm that I went to. I worked for great guys. I say guys because I happen to have worked with almost all men my career. But I think that having really good mentors was very helpful. I did a lot of business development work, so I went to a lot of client dinners, and I interacted with clients a lot because my group was really small. So the interaction there was great. I was also given a lot of responsibility. I was allowed to manage clients as a pretty young associate. I was able to teach clients a lot, and that was actually my very favorite thing to do. And it's pretty transferable to what I do today. I was taking legalese and these old, big regulations in law and explaining them to people, and now I'm looking at essentially a 5,000-year-old discipline that's quite archaic and doesn't really seem like it's transferable to people today, but it really is. So I'm essentially doing a translation and a teaching, and a lot of that I learned from the lawyers that I worked with at my firm.
Well, so what's next for Kelly Newsome? Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years?
Oh my gosh, this is the $6 million question, huh? 5 or 10 years. I will clearly be doing this work. I think that this is my calling. I love it. I adore my clients. I really enjoy the work that I get to do. I think that I will probably still not be working in an office. I never say for sure that I'm not going to go back into law, but I think that at this point I'm pretty unemployable. I love working for myself, and I love working one-on-one with people. So I don't know exactly what the application of that looks like, but I will be doing wellness work that support busy women. I think that I'll probably venture a little bit more into the new mom market, which is my expertise in prenatal, postnatal work and birth. But I love working with professional women and giving them a little bit of an escape and a refuge from their daily lives so that they can maintain their daily lives in a healthier and happier way.
Well, we wish you continued success, Kelly, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. It was great to be here.
For more information on this or other topics, subscribe to BloombergLaw.com. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for joining us. Bye, everybody.